Hello everybody, this is Curtis Eckerman, and I wanted to run you through how to navigate Flickr and the images that are in Flickr and the Eckerman project so that you can not only download and view the photos but help me to identify people in those and tag them properly. Before I did that, however, I wanted to show you something about the photos. When I scan the photos in, so here's an example, I will add data to that. So you can see over here on the right, I add tags. Tags help me search for it. I will add a date. Now you'll notice that this is 1/1/1900. I've taken a few conventions about dates. And one of those is that if I don't know the date of a particular image, I will put it at January 1st, 1900 in the hopes of narrowing down that date later. And I put it in the original image file here so that when I upload it into Flickr, it will automatically put it at January 1st, 1900. If there are comments to be had, I will also add comments here, and this is going to be a particular problem. Now the reason, and it's going to be a problem because Flickr won't pick it up easily, but the reason I want to add all of this data to the original photo is that it keeps it with the photo. Not only does Flickr upload it, but whenever I download the photo from Flickr, then it'll still have that data. If I were to add the data in Flickr, it won't save it to the original file. It's kind of a strange deal, but they decided to do it that way so that people could not alter the information. So for instance, I'm going to click on one that does have information. Here is a picture of Melvin and Shay, and you can see that I have comments here about this particular image. So I try to add comments for images that I knew something about, but also I would add information about that's on the back. So let's take, for instance, let's take a look at a couple of images that have some information on them. I'm going to scroll down to, here's a picture of Mike and Sharon, and you'll see in the comments that there's Mike and Sharon. Now I've put anything that was written on the front or the back of a photo in quotation marks and tried to even keep the bad spelling just in case, but this is exactly what's written on the back of this photo. Of course, that'll help me identify things, but it didn't have a date, so I don't know the date of this photo yet. So again, I put it at 1/1900, and I've tagged it because I know who's in it. I've tagged it Mike, Sharon, Eisenbach, Eckerman, San Angelo, Texas, all those things for help with this. Now, once I've uploaded this in Flickr and made them viewable by friends and family, that's where you come in. So I'm going to get out of this, and let's go to Flickr. Here you are in Flickr. And I've created a second account here so that you'll see exactly how you, this will be exactly how you see it. To find the Eckerman project, once you have followed me, you will go to your photo stream. So this is, we are now on Flikr.com. And this is a Talitha Moeller account I made. You can go to following. I've linked it to the Eckerman project already, and I've made her a family and friend. So whenever I click on the Eckerman project, it'll take you immediately to the photo stream of the Eckerman project. Okay. Now, right now, there's over 400 images, and you could scroll through all of them and try to find things, but that may not be very useful and may be a little daunting. So there's a few different ways in which you can view these photos and to help me edit them. So first, you should notice in the photo stream that you can organize this by date uploaded or by date taken. So let's say that you've looked through these photos and you just want to see the new ones that have been added recently, then I would go to date uploaded, and that way it'll show the most recent updates or the recent uploads here at the top as you look through them. But even that may not be the best way to look at things. I've started creating albums. So if you go to albums, you will see the albums in the Eckerman project, and you can see organization like the Chester Eckerman family. I click on it, I can see various photos that involve Chester and his kids and his wife and Talitha, all involved here with their family. Now the reason that I can add those and find them quickly is that they were tagged with various names that allowed me to find them. So this is really what I want to show you with regards to how to use this. So if I go back to PhotoStream, let's say that you want to look for a particular person. Go here to search. And because these photos are tagged, you can search for them. So let's say I want to find, I'll use Melvin as an example. I want to find Melvin Eckerman. Now I could actually just type Melvin or Eckerman. But if I just type one of those, it'll find everything that was tagged with Eckerman. And so you might find a lot of photos. But by typing Melvin Eckerman, it'll find things that are tagged with Melvin and Eckerman. And you can see I've hit enter, and here are the photos that he has been tagged. Okay. Now these are images of places that he went to visit when he went to go see Ivy and Stephen. Those are tags I'm going to take off eventually. But you can see all these images have something to do with Melvin Eckerman, and they have images of him in it. Now you can search for anyone that has tags. So I've tagged a lot of people so far, and for instance, some of the Getzes. There's Nora Getz here, for instance. But probably the most useful for this project is going to be looking for the tag unknown. Anything about a picture that I was unsure of, I tagged it with the unknown tag. And by tagging it unknown, I'm basically saying either I don't know who is in this photo, or there's someone or something about the photo that I am unsure of. So here's an example. I was not sure of who this person was. Okay. And Sonny has already replied here saying, believe it's his older sister, Tracy. Now, I actually suspected that already, and I did have a note about that. But this is why I showed you that I put things in comments. Unfortunately, Flikr does not upload the comments. It's a complicated issue with regards to how they're reading that data from the file. But it's that data. So for instance, I'll show you again, this data in this photo that I showed you earlier, it's called an EXIF data. And that's here in this picture. So if I show that, for instance, now I know there's a lot of words and numbers here. Do not worry about any of them. Just scroll down slightly and you're looking for XP comment. And you'll see that I wrote, I think this is Tracy Huckabee. Right? And so that's a comment that I added to the photo. It's based on where the photo was, the content of the photo, maybe other photos that were similar to it, my own recognition. So I've added notes not only in quotation for things that are written directly on the photo, but also anything that I noticed about the photo or things that I think about the photo. So I do have those notes there. So Sonny has confirmed that this is Tracy, that he thinks this is Tracy, and so I'm going to hide this now. What you can do is you can add tags. Now I've added Tracy and Huckabee. Now what I need to do now is I'll go in and remove the unknown, but you can add tags. So let's try this out in a different way. Let's look at some other photos. All right, I'm gonna go back to search here for a second, find a better example. So let's say that we're looking at these photos and you recognize this person. So now on the back of this picture, I know this is Uncle Chet. Like I know this is Uncle Chet, but I do not know who this other person is. So if I look at the tags, actually, you can see I've marked Chet, Chester, Eckerman. I need to remove those two because I used that as an example earlier. Sorry about that. But I don't know really who Barbara is. Now, if I look at the EXIF data, you'll note that I put in quotation marks that it said Chet and Barbara on the back. So it's Barbara, but I'm not sure who Barbara is, and that's why I've added that here. That's why I've added the unknown. So you could actually, if you knew who this was, you could go and add a tag. You could add her last name. Right? Maybe it is Abet Radford. And you would just simply add Radford to it, and it would be in there, and that way I can search for that person and it'll show up. And then if you put a comment here saying, I think this is Bet Radford, and I don't think this is actually, but just say you believe it is, you would add the comment, I would see it, and then I could then modify the tags to remove the unknown. Instead of adding that comment, I'm going to delete that, but you get the point. That's how you can help identify things, and then I will modify the tags and then update what we know about that particular photo. You can also in your comments add things like, well, I believe this is about 1962, or things like that based on your own information and your own knowledge. All right, so that is basically how to use Flikr. There's of course a lot to Flikr, and you can get in more detail. But this is basically what I wanted to show you about how to navigate, how to look for things. And I think really the best way to navigate this is going to be use the search function here to search for people or search for unknown to look through them. Again, you could also email me in here or in Facebook to suggest various albums. Eventually I'm going to make albums for various families and add them in there just for organization purposes, but the search function will be the easiest way to find people in these images. All right, thank you for your help on identifying these images, and I look forward to seeing you online.